This episode is brought to you by Tanmay Shah. That's me. Best way to support this show is by sharing this with your friends and dropping a comment and review on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You can become my patron and a sponsor. That's not all. You can buy Rocklaz merchandise and NFTs and much more. See all the links in description for details.
Rocklaz Radio.
Rocklaz.
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 Rocklaz Radio with Tanmay Shah.
That's right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Rocklaz Radio. On today's show, we are going to talk about the largest island in the world. And we have with us Mr. Jørgen Wæver Johansen, who is the CEO of Greenland Invest, former cabinet in Greenland for mineral resources, housing, infrastructure, and he's also been a mayor of South Greenland. He is a family man, he's proud father of 4 kids, and he draws inspiration from his wife. He loves Greenland and is very passionate about making the country better for the future generations to come. And he's the perfect person if you're thinking about investing or starting a business in Greenland. So, Mr. Jørgen, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. All right. So, you have had such a big political career, so many years. What do you think is your biggest accomplishment so far?
Well, I mean, I'm no longer a politician and haven't been for quite some years, but I think one of the many good things or positive changes that we were part of was the introduction of self-governance in Greenland. I was part of that throughout the negotiation period, and it was implemented in 2009, just after I stopped in federal politics in Greenland. So I'm very proud of that achievement because it's another step towards independence, and the rest is, so to speak, up to ourselves. I'm quite confident that once Greenland becomes an economically sustainable and developing nation more than it is today, then eventually the population of Greenland will opt out for independence. And of course, all countries in the world are interdependent today, but it's still, when you have been in a colonial situation, it is natural for all people to strive for independence so that you can be master in your own house, so to speak. And that is a natural process for all peoples, regardless of where we live. And it's happening in Greenland right now.
You're speaking about self-governance and colonialism. Many people don't know the colonial power. Can you explain your relationship with the entity you want independence from?
Well, Greenland is still part of Denmark. It's a self-governing part of Denmark and has been so since 1979. Greenland was formally included in the Danish constitution as an equal part of the kingdom in 1953. And then we attained home rule, as we call it, which is limited self-governance in 1979. And that form of governance was successful, so to speak, and it was further developed into self-governance and self-government, as we call it, which was introduced in 2009. So basically, Greenland govern all areas of life within Greenland itself, except for military defense. It's what do you call monetary currency policy, and then jointly with Denmark, we have a foreign policy that both parties, especially in matters relating to security, do jointly. But all
Fantastic.
areas, education, health, trade, everything else within Greenland is conducted according to the laws and regulations that the Parliament of Greenland decides.
So, by complete independence, you also want the military and the monetary system with you. Or what else do you expect by becoming completely independent?
Well, when you're completely independent, you decide your entire fate yourself as a nation. Of course, you do it in cooperation with others. But other than that, I mean, it's like to make a metaphor. It's like growing up. When you're when you're a child, you're totally dependent on your parents. As a young person, you develop and become less and less dependent. And when you become an adult, then of course you want to be fully self-reliant and make all the right decisions for yourself, and take all the responsibility for the decisions that you make for yourself. It's a similar process.
Just a segue. It was in the news that Donald Trump had offered to buy Greenland. What was that about, and how was the reaction he got?
Well, I think most people in Greenland thought it was a joke, because of course Greenland is not for sale, but we are open to cooperation, and we are open to business with all interested parties, and I don't think we took it as seriously as maybe some people did. Of course, the reaction in Denmark was a bit sharper, because they felt threatened, and I think they also sense that the cooperation between the United States and Greenland is still developing in a positive manner, and I think they got a little perhaps afraid that they were
Mhm.
losing it all at once in a very fast pace.
Hmm. Coming back to you,
Yeah.
you have had experience in so many diverse fields. What has been your biggest challenge? What has been your biggest challenge? And how did you overcome it?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is making the right compromises, so that everyone feels that they are part of a process. It's always in any or at least in a political setting, it's always very difficult to find consensus if you are looking to make very large changes. And that's why I think it's the process towards the new introduction of the self-governance. That process entailed a process where a lot of different people with a lot of different thoughts had to find a common ground, and each party had to bend towards each other in order to make it work. But in the end, we had something that a very, very large majority could agree with. So whenever you do major changes within a society, I think it's an obligation for the political leaders that are part of it, that they try to make it as consensual or consensus based as possible, and that's also very much aligned with how the Inuit culture functions. That in order to survive in the Arctic for millennia, it has been a tradition that you find joint solutions, because if you don't do it jointly, you might not exist.
It's a big task to change somebody's mind, even for thinking the way of their thoughts or their opinions. So can you give some tips to the audience about how do you come to common consensus, like practical usable tips?
Well, I think the appeal to knowledge and to facts, and the ability to present and communicate them in a manner that is easily understandable, but also not too biased, that usually creates the best results. Because when you are in a situation, if you only lead by your emotions, then of course the response that you get from others will also be their emotional response. And oftentimes that creates a much more difficult situation to overcome. So being reasonable, understanding that sometimes you have to compromise, but base your decisions on best possible information and knowledge, and then reason in a manner that is respectful and acceptable to most people. That creates best results.
Hmm.
You don't seem to agree.
Now, I'm trying to step a bit deeper into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely agree to what you're saying.
Yeah.
In a situation where you have a arch enemy or a rival of thoughts, it happens in uh, companies, in corporates, in small circles, or even in families. So how do you start dealing? I mean, that person is going to oppose you for everything you say, with reason or without reason. How do you deal with that?
Well, you have to follow your gut feeling then. I think that most reasonable people have an instinct, and if they're with a good heart, then following your gut feeling often leads to the best possible result in a challenging or even impossible situation. You have to trust yourself and make the best possible out of a situation that might not be positive to all parties.
All right, awesome. Growing up as a child, did you have a dream of becoming a politician?
No, I don't recall that. I mean, my father is an Inuit hunter and fisherman. So most of my childhood I spent in a small village. We were a little more than 200 people. Um, and one thing that you have to understand about Greenland is that there are no roads between any villages or cities. So you only travel by sea, by boat, or helicopter, or airplane. And you also have to imagine that if you take the northern tip of Greenland and place it in the northernmost part of Norway, then the southern tip of Greenland will be somewhere in Tunisia or the northern part of Morocco. That's how large an island we are talking about. And that's why it's when you're only 56,000 people spread out along the coastline of this island, this nation, then it's then distances are far, and nature is rough. So many times nature sets the limit or the opportunity for how you can live and thrive in this environment. And since you are very few people, well, there is no, or basically no, economies of scale anywhere. So you have to find solutions that are different from normal market-driven economies. And that's why in Greenland you will see that most of critical infrastructure and how the country is run is actually run by state-owned businesses because we are few.
Hmm. So, what did you dream about when you were a kid? Like traveling with your father? What
I
were your
dreamt about,
aspirations?
my aspirations were that I wanted to be international. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to experience many different things and not just the small village I came from. I wanted to be something that was not a hunter and a fisherman. But I'm not sure that I exactly knew from young age what I really wanted to be. After first year in high school, I had the opportunity to get a scholarship to a United World College, which is Lester B. Pearson College. It's situated on Vancouver Island. And there, I mean, we were roughly 200 students from, at that time, 79 different countries, living out in a forest down by a fjord, 30 kilometers from the town of Victoria. So, I mean, I felt those 2 years were very determining for who I became as an adult, because I felt like I was growing up having the whole world around me and having to navigate in a language that that is my third language, and therefore, I mean, wasn't my mother tongue, and trying to learn in that language while at the same time having to show consideration to my fellow students, because we were all from different religions and cultures. But that teaches you a lot as a young person, and being 17, 18, 19 at the time, I mean, you are very receptive of new impressions and new way of doing things, and things like that shape you as a person, I think.
So, what made you decide that okay, I want to fight for Greenland's independence, and that is that is going to be my core thing that I do for the next several years?
Well, I think my experiences at Pearson College really gave me um, the opinion that it was of utmost importance that we all did a positive thing to try to change the world in a better direction. And doing positive change, of course, you can do in many different ways. I just after that experience decided that I wanted to study political science, because I thought of it as a natural way to be part of the inner machinery of any country where you want to make or be part of making a change. And being part of the machinery is a good thing if you want to change the way things are being done.
Amazing. You spoke about the proportions of Greenland. Let us show the audience Greenland on the map and uh, do the size comparison. So here we go.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
No, not yet. But there are three dots
It shows it's loading.
Yeah, it's loading.
Let's try again.
It says 99% uploading.
Now, do you see the Google Earth map?
No, not yet.
This is strange. Hmm. I think you're seeing now. Okay, cool.
Okay, now I see it.
All right. So from Chad, we are going to go to Greenland today on
Yes.
the North Pole. The
Yeah.
the most north you can go to the North Pole is Greenland.
Yeah.
I had a basic question. I mean, Greenland is so white and icy, and Iceland is so green. Like, this thing should have been called Greenland, and this should have been called Iceland.
Yes, one would think so, but actually, when the Norse people uh, immigrated to Greenland, and they did that because Eric the Red and his fellow uh, men in Iceland, they were actually sentenced to leave the country. So he had to leave his country of Iceland, and he sailed to the west. And he arrived in Greenland in the very southern part of Greenland, on the southern western tip. And
Yeah.
that area that you're pointing at right now, that is South Greenland. And inside the fjords, especially during summertime, when at the same time as Eric the Red was or arrived in Greenland, it is very, very green. But
Hmm.
of course, on his behalf, it was also marketing, a destination as being green is also a way to try to attract more people to come.
Hmm.
And he was successful in doing so. So actually, one funny thing is that there have been several cultures of Inuit coming to Greenland. The indigenous people of Greenland, we are Inuit, and
Hmm.
we have come from Canada and Alaska and Chukotka, and they have wandered throughout the Arctic and then eventually reaches Greenland.
Hmm.
And the Greenlandic culture that all Greenlanders today are descendants from is called the Thule culture, and they came to Greenland at roughly the same time as the Norse people came to South Greenland. So in the beginning, the Norse people did not really think that there were any other people in Greenland, but soon after they arrived, they started to meet the indigenous people of Greenland who came from the north and gradually traveled further and further south.
Hmm.
The interesting thing is that this is actually then the first time in human history that those, we all originate from Africa.
Yeah.
Some wandered to the west and to the south and to the east. Some went to the north. But the first time that humanity actually reunites, from when those who went east meet those who went to the north and to the west again, is actually in the southern part of Greenland, around
Wow.
the year 1000, maybe 1100 or something.
So what I believe was this path, like when there was lesser water, they actually traveled from Africa like that,
Yeah,
and then through India, China, and Russia, and there was this water bridge. I
yeah,
mean, there was land bridge which brought them to Alaska and Canada, and then to Greenland,
yeah,
and now you say that the people who traveled westwards came and joined Greenland. I mean,
yeah.
completed the circle.
Yes, and it
That's
happened
really
in
interesting.
South Greenland.
Denmark. Denmark is here, Greenland is here, there is Iceland in between. How did Denmark, such a small country, occupy Greenland? Or why? I mean, in colonial times, there were so many other nations. And I mean, how did Denmark take interest here?
Well, it wasn't really Denmark. It was actually people from Iceland and Norway that sort of paved the way for the first missionaries, Christian missionaries, to come to Greenland in 1721. But they came from Bergen in Norway. They sailed from Bergen in Norway to Greenland. But the reason why Denmark holds Greenland is actually because Norway used to be part of the Danish kingdom.
Oh.
They call it the Twin Kingdom at the time. But then the Danes made some mistakes in the early 1800s when they sided with Napoleon the First in the wars of Europe. And in 1814, at what we call the Kieler, the peace in Kiel in Germany, the peace deal that was negotiated between those who won and those who lost the European wars at the time, the Napoleon War. They negotiated that Denmark should lose Norway, and that Sweden would now be granted the Norwegian territory. But in the agreement of 1814 in Kiel, the possessions of those islands that you're pointing at now, Shetland, Faroese, Iceland, and Greenland, they were not part of what Sweden should get as a price for being part of the winning coalition in the war. So Greenland, Iceland, the Faroese, and Shetland used to be part of the old Norwegian kingdom, which was then for 434 years part of the Danish kingdom. And then when Norway was given, so to speak, as a bounty for winning the war against Napoleon I, when Norway was given to Sweden, Denmark got to keep the leftovers, so to speak, the Shetland Islands, the Faroese, Iceland, and Greenland. So that's the story behind that.
Quite interesting. Your capital must be in the south, right? Where is Nuuk?
Nuuk is a bit further up north. Now you see it. There, the big fjord, Nuuk. Yeah, in the middle there. If you zoom in.
Ah, yeah.
That's the capital right there.
All right. And I wonder what people live here, like way to the north. I mean, this is almost near the North Pole. Does anybody live here in these lands?
No. There's a few research stations and military installations that are manned, but in the very north and in the northeast, it's a national park and it's not inhabited.
One more question about this is, I mean, has anybody, like, have you ever tried to go in between here? Like, if you go here, what would you find? Would there be any life, animals, even animals?
No. The whole of the inland ice is an ice desert, and where you see the red marker, roughly around there, you'll find that the ice is 3.2 kilometers thick. So
3.2 kilometers thick.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So I mean, if we imagine that all of this ice, the inland ice sheet of Greenland would melt, then all the oceans of the world would rise by 7 meters.
7 meters.
So that's why, I mean, a lot of people, of course, are concerned with climate change and global warming, because when that happens, you will see that the Greenland ice sheet will melt faster than in the past. And that faster melting will, of course, create, I mean, for us, it will create more hydropower potentials through the lakes that are along the inland ice. But for people in very far places, I mean, small Pacific islands, and also islands in the Indian Ocean, they will experience it as the sea level rising, and maybe the weather patterns will change. So it has a serious effect.
Talking about climate change throughout your life, like when you were young and now, what impact of climate change have you seen, or as some other people say, it is just hawks and it's not true? So what have you experienced to be living in Iceland?
Well, I mean, in the very northern part of Greenland, people are experiencing that the ice conditions are changing. I mean, the sea ice during wintertime, it's not as thick as it used to be, and it comes later. And of course, when you have, when part of your life is based on how you hunt and gather from the sea and from the animals on the ice, then this is huge, monumental changes for a lot of people.
Hmm.
And further south, I mean, we experience it maybe less, but winters have changed. Summers seem to be more unstable weather-wise than earlier. But at the same time, we also see that a lot more fresh water is coming out of the fjords, and that's of course because the inland ice sheet is melting at a faster pace, and that in turn changes the salinity of the sea, and with the change of salinity in some layers of especially the upper parts of the sea, you have different difference in the way that the seafood, the species of fish in Greenland waters react to this. And thus far, I mean, I think we have a very sustainable way of utilizing our seafood resources. At the moment, or last year, if you take the statistics, I mean,
Hello.
98% of all exports coming out of Greenland were seafood.
Hmm.
So I mean, we are very dependent on the sea, and therefore, of course, we try to treat all of our resources in the sea with the greatest amount of respect, and any utilization is done in a sustainable manner.
Yeah, so this is Greenland, and as you pull it down,
Yeah,
it is this size as compared to
yeah,
Africa. It confused me as a child,
yeah,
because there are these continents which are so huge, and still,
yeah,
why isn't Greenland so big? I mean, it looks even bigger than Australia. So
yeah,
why isn't it a continent? Even compared to India,
yeah,
India is a bit slightly bigger than India.
yeah,
But yes, this is how it is when you stretch the map when you come to the north.
yeah. But when I mean, if you compare Greenland in terms of actual landmass, I think we are the same size roughly as Saudi Arabia and Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Another interesting fact I wanted to talk about is the um, the North Pole and the navigation. I heard that the magnetic north is not the exact North Pole. So how, and that keeps changing. How does that affect your navigations there?
Well, I mean, today all of our navigation is done through GPS. So of course the GPS is adjusted for the magnetic or the difference between the actual North Pole and the magnetic North Pole.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a problem. But I mean, what a lot of people are talking about is, of course, when will it be possible for the large shipping routes going from Asia to North America and the western part or eastern part of North America and to Europe. When will it be possible for them to sail through the Northwest Passage or the Eastern Sea route in the Arctic areas? And that, of course, uh, I think some years it's still possible. It's actually already possible to sail these northern routes,
Mm-hmm.
but other years ice conditions are still a challenge. But I think the estimates is that they will be fully navigational half of the year or something like that in the year 2040.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you will see a lot of shipping routes shifting their way of going from Asia or to Asia,
Talking
and that.
about talking about shipping routes, ice, and America. Where did the Titanic incident happen? Was it near Greenland or?
No, you see, there are many icebergs coming out of the glaciers on the west coast of Greenland.
Hmm.
And some of those icebergs, they make it all the way down to off the coast of Newfoundland. And the Titanic went down somewhere off the coast of Newfoundland, of course, out in the Atlantic where it's really deep. But
Hmm.
it was still a collision with an iceberg, presumably from Greenland, that make.
Talking about icebergs, um, it's a common phrase to say the tip of the iceberg. So, can you tell people how large it is under the tip so that they get the idea of idea of the iceberg?
I'm not a glaciologist, but the rule of thumb is that what you see on the surface, I mean, the tip of the iceberg is usually maybe between 15 and 20% of what is underneath.
Hmm.
Some actually say that it's 1/10 that you can see, but I'm not sure if that is entirely correct. And some people are good at using Photoshop, as you can see on these pictures.
All right, so it's big, and I want to ask you, as you are the son of a hunter and a fisherman, what what did you eat? Like, how was the day to day routine of your father or your family as a native?
Well, I mean, in the older days, and when I was a child, uh, a lot of the mainstay in my village was seal meat and meat from caribou, meat from walrus and whales that was caught. But and then to a lesser extent, it was fish like cod, like Greenland halibut, like Atlantic halibut, like salmon or trout, uh, and capelin also. And then it was It was berries, crowberries that are collected during the summertime and saved for the winter. Those were mainstays, but of course the way people in Greenland eat have been very much affected by by the European influence that we have had since 1721. So a lot of the what people in Greenland eat today will also be like what people eat in Denmark.
Mm-hmm.
Potatoes and different different meat, chicken and pork,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, and products made of those. So I would
One
say
more.
that
Mm.
today in modern Greenland we still eat a lot of seal, whale, caribou, musk ox, codfish, Greenland halibut, and salmon and trout. But we also eat a lot of modern based European style dishes.
Amazing. Are I mean, are people from Greenland called Eskimos? Are these photos of your ancestors or natives?
Yes, that would be mostly Canadian and Alaskan. The term Eskimo we don't use
Mm-hmm.
because uh, it's an Native American. Some of those tribes, maybe a Cree word of saying.
Oh, okay.
Saying Inuit, but they didn't want to use Inuit as we use, so they called the Greenlanders and Inuit in Canada and Alaska for Eskimos because the meaning of that word is raw meat eaters.
Oh.
And that's another way of saying that these people are so primitive that they don't even cook their meat; they only eat it raw.
Hmm.
Uh,
But because of the climate conditions, I believe, yeah, I never thought I mean, eating raw would be the ideal situation.
yeah. So Eskimo is not a word we use anymore. We use Inuit,
Inuit. Yeah.
Inuit, and that means human.
Inuit. Okay. Oh, Inuit means human. All
Yeah.
right.
We had our own name for Native Americans. We called them Ilkishit,
Mm-hmm.
and that means that is also offensive because that means people with lice in their hair.
Oh.
So in
Keep
ancient
each
times,
other's name,
they,
insult each other.
yes, that's why. I mean, of course, we call them Native Americans now, but in old days they would call us Eskimos, and we would call them Ilkishit.
Hmm. And how often did you live in igloos? Like, was your home a igloo, or was it only while hunting a temporary shelter?
I think people living in igloos is a thing of a very ancient past in Greenland, and mostly when they were on seasonal based hunting or traveling trips.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think that.
But for fun, have you made a igloo like for fun?
Oh yes, of course, and some people specialize in making igloos, but it's mostly for show and as a cultural
Hmm.
thing and as a tourism.
Yeah, it can be a fun activity for people traveling to go there,
Yeah.
make an igloo. And I heard it's quite warm inside.
Yes, it gets warm inside.
All right. So even the ice is of many types, right? On previous episode, we are talking about Sahara Desert, and the person was telling they used to navigate by touching and the feeling the sand, he used to navigate where we are. So I believe that's the case with ice as well. How many types of ice do you know? Or
Well, I mean, that's a science in itself, because in Greenlandic we have, I think it's 217 different denominations for snow and ice and different
oh my God.
types.
I
And of
thought it would
course,
be 50, 60, but 200,
yeah, I think
that's a
we
lot.
actually have that many varieties, and they all describe a certain condition of this. But today, I mean, we only use a few. It's only those with specialized knowledge or specialized needs to know more denominations. That, I mean, no
Hmm.
more than 20 or 25 denominations, I think.
What is your favorite aspect about your country?
I think it's because it's so clean, pristine, and pure. I mean, there are many billions of people living in very noisy and polluted cities around the globe today. They should come and experience the greatness of silence in Greenland. I mean, that's incredible. So the natural beauty, the pristineness, uh, and the clean air. That is by far the clean sea, the clean air. The that's what defines Greenland for me. It's the snow, the ice, the pure water, and it's amazing.
How do you feel when you go to tropical regions or even near the equator or even to noisy cities or capitals of the country? How you as a Inuit feel going there?
Well, I think we feel, of course, we feel the excitement of experiencing something new, but at the same time, I think we feel a sense of being out of place. Uh, I think it would be fair to say that most Greenlanders would not like an environment where the temperature is above 30 degrees. Maybe for a very short time, it's fun to sunbathe and stuff like that. But in the long run, I don't think many Greenlanders would find an environment that is very hot and humid.
30
Uh,
degrees is quite hot. You mean in Fahrenheit or Celsius?
Celsius.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I can believe. So, you don't believe in sunbathing?
Well, I enjoy the sun, but not for too long, and not too hot.
Hmm. And also, Greenland is a place where the sun doesn't set for a very long time, right?
It depends on where you are in Greenland, because if you look at your map, you will see that the southern tip of Greenland is roughly the same. What do you call it? Latitude as Bergen in Norway. But then it stretches for 2,000 kilometers north, and when you are above the Arctic Circle, which goes roughly around just south of Sisimiut, that is, yes, the yellow line.
This line, Arctic
Yeah.
line.
When you are north of that, you'll experience certain days of the year where you don't see the sun.
Hmm.
And the further north you go, the longer that period will be. But at the same time, if you're above the Arctic Circle, you will also experience certain days where the sun doesn't set. during spring and summertime. And the
Mm.
further north you go, the more days you will have with the sun always on the sky.
So Greenland is clearly the closest landmass to the North Pole.
Yes, of course we feel it belongs to us, but so does many other nations.
So it's always an ice cap here, right? Like you can ride a truck over this and go to Russia, is it? Or do you need to go through ship?
Well, I don't think it's ice all year round, especially on the Russian side. But on the Greenland side, you will find that the ice will be there all year in the
Mhm.
very northern part. But I mean, it's not something that is stable in a way where you can drive a truck like on a
Mm.
highway from one end to the other. It's something that is moving.
And which part of where did you grow up? Where was your town? Was it above the Arctic Circle or?
Yes, if you zoom down, it's just yes, on the west coast. If you zoom in, there you have a very big fjord. Just now, zoom further in.
Should I go northwards or
You
south or west?
you can see the small place names on the coast. When if you zoom in, you go more south, and then you see a little place called ATTU.
Ah,
That's where I grew up.
wow. So a town of 200 people.
Yes, in that village, yes.
What was your favorite festival? Like, what is your favorite festival here?
Well, actually, it was probably during. I mean, we have many things that we celebrate. The traditional Greenland New Year was on the 21st of December because that's when I can't remember what you call it in English, but that's when the sun starts to come up again.
Solidus or something it's called.
Yes, and you have that every half year. So on December 21st, the sun doesn't go down any longer; it starts to go up again, and we are on the way to summer. That day traditionally was Christmas or New Year's for Inuit in Greenland for millennia. And then we have the same on the 21st of June, because that's when the sun is at its highest on the sky. And
Hmm.
that's also why the 21st of June is the National Day of Greenland.
Oh.
But in my village, I mean, the biggest thing that would happen would be in the springtime, because that's when the municipal sports or soccer tournament would take place, and we we didn't have any soccer fields during summertime, so we would have to wait until the lake froze and snow fell upon it, and then we would have a flat soccer field. So when I was a kid, we only played soccer, or mainly during wintertime, because we didn't have a summer field.
So you
Uh,
enjoyed the winter more.
Sorry?
So you enjoyed the winter more than summers.
Yes, as a child, there was much more to do during wintertime than in summertime. Summertime was mostly work, because it has always been a tradition that every member of the family needs to help to during the summertime to gather food for the winter time, and that's also when the fishermen of Greenland make most of their income. Traditionally, it's during the summertime, so we
Hmm.
would be
Lot of
working
work.
and gathering and hunting during the summertime mostly.
So you save up for the whole winter, and where do you store it, and how is it like to eat something that has been stored 6 months ago?
Well, traditionally, I mean, most of our food is dried. So what you didn't eat during the summertime, you would dry, and Greenland has a very dry climate, so it would last until the wintertime. And then
Hmm.
whatever you get fresh, I mean, you get usually your meat from seals or other sea mammals. So that would give you fresh meat, but a lot of uh, a lot of the nutritions that you needed would be stored in as dried food.
Hmm. What is the favorite food? Let me pull up images and show it to the viewers. Hello, hello.
Yeah,
What is your favorite food?
my favorite food.
Hmm.
It's probably caribou, caribou, or reindeer. Some would call it. It's
Ah,
yeah,
reindeers remind me of Santa Claus. So
yeah.
you're from the land of Santa Claus.
Yes, we believe so.
So yes,
Yes,
caribou.
here you go. That's my favorite food.
Hmm. So how do you cook it? How does it look on table?
Well, you can cook it in many different ways. I mean, it's also very good as dried meat, but as you see here, most people would roast the best parts, and then the ribs and other parts are also good to make soup out of, and a lot of people did that too. And
Hmm.
here you see, I think that is dried trout, if not dried salmon.
Hmm. What the Eskimo kiss is quite famous. Like, how do you do that? Let me show. Let me grab an image. Like, do you actually touch your nose to kiss your family?
Yes, traditionally that was how you kissed with your nose.
And this is for greeting. So I got. Is this
Yeah,
is this the right?
it's called a gunik, as they say here, the Inuit kiss, not the Eskimo kiss. Remember that.
Okay, Inuit. Right. Inuit case.
Calling us Eskimos would be like calling colored people something that they don't like.
Got it. Inuit.
Yeah,
So this is the Inuit case. And people believe that it was touching the nose to the nose, but it is actually nose to the cheek, it looks like.
yeah, it can be both.
Okay. What? How do kids play outside? I mean, how do you, it's, I believe it's always stormy and icy. So what are the games you play? What are the games kids play?
It's not always stormy and icy, but I mean, people, kids will always find a way to play. I mean, we played a lot of soccer. We played a lot of games like hide and seek, and even with small glass marbles, we have traditional games that we usually play, and we would make from whatever wood we could find. We would make wooden boats that we would drag along the shores of the lakes. Uh, so I mean, I think, and in the winter times we would ski, and slide on a bobsleigh down the hills, and that's a lot of fun as well.
Hmm. I love the point that you made. Kids always find a way to play.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. So, is the dog sledge a common thing, or is it? I mean, does everybody have a dog sledge or a reindeer sledge?
No reindeer sledges, but dog sledges were a very common thing when I was a child. I mean, in Greenland, you are only allowed to have the Greenlandic dog, which is a Greenlandic version of the Alaskan Husky. And it's a very tough animal. It stays outside all year, and I
All
mean,
year.
all year it stays outside, and of course these are also somewhat dangerous animals because they are from ancient times they have been mixed with wolves.
Hmm.
And therefore they are tied, they're chained outside,
Hmm.
and you have to be careful if you don't know the dogs. So I mean, when I was a
Don't
child,
try to pet a dog when in Greenland. Is that what
no,
you're saying?
don't try to pet any other people's dogs in general. You never know how they will behave.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I would go out every day with 3 or 4 dogs, maybe 5 and 6 when I got a little older, to fetch water.
Oh.
Because most villages in Greenland did not have running water within houses. So we would take a dog sledge to the nearest lake um, and through a hole in the ice, we would gather our water.
So isn't like heating the water a practical thing to do? I mean, obviously you'd waste a lot of resources, but yeah, that's something somebody who in the south would have imagined, right? Just heat the ice.
Well, I mean, some places in Greenland where they don't have lakes that they can utilize like that, they actually chop icebergs and bring it back home and melt it to get drinking water.
Hmm. Talking about water, when I was reading your bio on the website, it seems that water is a big industry. So I was wondering, how is that an opportunity, or why water?
Well, I mean, water has the potential to become a big industry in Greenland, but it isn't right now. Greenland, if you take all the lakes and all the ice in Greenland, then we have what is approximately 9% of the world's fresh water reserves. Um, and that, of course, is a commodity that gets more and more precious the more climate or global warming we have, and the more inhabitants there is on our globe, the more water we will all require. Um, so therefore, this opportunity that we have, the access to clean and fresh water, is one of the great potentials of Greenland. I have a partnership in a company where we have been producing spring water, a very special high natural high alkaline water that comes out of a spring in Greenland. We produce that for the local market and have been doing that for the past 7 years. Of course, our hope and aspiration is to find a good export market, or perhaps more markets to export this water to, because it certainly is something that is of great potential, and especially when you have as clean, as pristine, and special high pH value water as we do in Greenland.
They market, I mean, packaged drinking water is worldwide and it's famous. And there is a mineral drinking water that comes from the fresh sources like streams. So I believe that's a good. You can take a good premium for Greenland water. I mean, fresh mineral water, as you said, with the qualities, and supply it to top hotels or corporates or wherever where people want to have mineral rich or fancy water. So yeah, that
Yes,
I see a good opportunity there.
I hope you're right, because I mean, that's what we have been hoping to find for the past 7 years. I mean, we are getting closer, but we haven't made our real breakthrough yet. But it will happen, and maybe even in the future you'll see bulk water exports coming out of Greenland, just as you have tank ships sailing around the world with crude oil. Maybe in the future you'll have similar ships sailing around the world with clean, fresh water from Greenland.
Wow. Yeah, I was reading a paper where they said they bring a lot of. I mean, most of the drinking water in USA comes from Fiji. So why not Greenland? It's like close by, and also it is. It has its own environmental values added to it. So yeah,
Yeah, but
order.
water is also a resource for us in another way, and that is the great potentials that are still to be used in terms of hydropower, because we have many lakes in Greenland, and several of them will eventually be developed into hydropower facilities that produces clean energy for energy intensive industries such as aluminium, or making iron pellets, or things like that. So the water of Greenland is not only for drinking, but we also see it as a very important resource for us in the future to generate jobs and diversify our economy away from being completely dependent upon seafood, to also being part of the green transition, which is happening all over the world, and Greenland being able to supply clean energy and clean minerals or clean products based on the utilization of natural resources.
There was also mentioned that biggest business um, exports go to China, Portugal, and these countries. So, what product is like? What do you export the most? What contributes to the most of the exports of Greenland?
Well, right now it's a cold water shrimp, and then it is Greenland halibut. It is snow crabs. It's codfish. It's mackerel. Um, so I mean, 98% of all Greenland exports are based on seafood.
Seafood.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was wondering what's a halibut, and I've pulled a image on the screen. I will just share it. It looks like a quite ancient fish, like horse. um, Tough.
Yeah.
All right. I also heard there are a lot of mining companies there, like in Alaska. Have you discovered oil or other things to mine for?
Well, I mean, Greenland is probably one of the last frontiers in the world where you basically have a lot of potential, but very little actual mining going on. So you have a lot of mainly very junior companies having exploration licenses where they explore the opportunities and hope for the best for the future. But the potential of mining in Greenland has not been achieved yet, and that is also one of the future potentials of Greenland, especially if you can conduct your mining in a way where it's done in an environmentally sustainable and clean manner, so that all the energy you require to do your mining and your processing of these minerals is done by utilizing hydropower or other clean sources of energy. Then you have a product that is very competitive, I believe.
You're the CEO of Greenland Invest. How do you pronounce that? Apps? APS? What does
APS.
that stand for?
It stands for a Danish word called limited company, Anpartsselskab.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are, for all the business people or young entrepreneurs looking forward to venture out in Greenland, what are the investment or business opportunities there or in the coming years in future?
Well, I think we have touched upon some of them. You will see large investments in developing of hydropower. You'll see developing smelters for energy intensive industries, but those will come a little later than the investments that you will see in the coming years in tourism, especially. We have a still growing number of cruise ships coming to Greenland, and we have very high growth rates on the annual number of tourists coming to Greenland. So the tourism industry, both in terms of hotel developments and cruise development and stuff like that, you will see very large investments in that area. And then, of course, I expect that the mineral industry, that the junior companies that are already in Greenland will be able to do what they have been doing for many years now, and that is attracting investments to further explore the opportunities. And eventually you'll see 2, 3, 4 of those develop into actual mining companies that are in operation in Greenland and will generate jobs and income to the people of Greenland also.
Very interesting. I'm from India. A lot of people travel to Europe and US. I've always heard stories of Iceland and Norway and things like that, but not Greenland. But I hope after seeing this video, you'll be interested to go. I'm definitely wanting to go to Greenland now. So, yeah.
Well, I think at least your government in India is already doing their job, because we have seen them visiting and participating in conferences more than ever before in the past years. And I know that your ambassador to Denmark, India's ambassador in Denmark, has also visited Greenland. I think it was a couple of months ago. So there's definitely attention being made from India towards Greenland, and I'm quite certain that will continue to grow.
Amazing. This is one of the culture questions we ask, and you're already talking about it. What is your impression of India?
Well, India is a very, very different country as compared to us in terms of climate. We are 56, a little more than 56,000 people. In India, you have more than 1 billion. So that is also very, very different. But at the same time, you also are able, I think, to relate to a part of the mentality of the Greenlandic Inuit, because you also used to be a colonized country, and you also felt that that the colonial powers were taking all the resources out of India without it being of any benefit to India. So the Greenlandic mindset of wanting to utilize one's own country's resources as best as possible to the benefit of the people, and also in a manner that benefits the development in the rest of the world, I think is a mentality that Greenlanders and Indians can be very similar about.
I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. If if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Well, I mean, I want to go to so many places, but it depends on what I'm going for. I mean, if it's on a vacation, then I of course want to see the sun, and I want to experience good things with my family. But if it's on business, I mean, right now I would like to go to Norway, because in Norway they have been through the same process of developing their natural resources, especially their experience in doing hydropower in Arctic areas. I think will be something that is very interesting and could be of high benefit to Greenland. But also they have a lot of similar seafood and are much more developed in terms of making more value out of their seafood than we are in Greenland. So I think we, in terms of business, Norway and Sweden are probably the places where we can learn the most, because Sweden has also been very successful in developing Kiruna, which is one of the largest areas where LKAB produces iron and steel products for the rest of Europe. And since we have similar resources in Greenland, why not try to learn from the best? So both Norway and Sweden, Finland are very interesting for people like us coming from Greenland and from similar areas with similar resources.
Very interesting. Yes. Um, you have worked for over 20 years for an organization which is for skilling the indigenous Inuit people. So, how has what have you seen? What are the Inuits most skilled at, and what is the most required skill for them?
Well, I think, I mean, Inuit, as any other people in the world, we have to adapt to how the world is developing without losing our own identity. So I think that is one of the biggest challenges, is being a very small nation in terms of population, and then having to adapt to a fast pace and moving development in the world, making sure that multinationals and other countries are not stealing your resources, but you are doing the cooperation with them based uh, on uh, on equality and in a fair trade manner. And while at the same time you do what you are able to do in terms of advancing the human rights
Hmm.
and the rights of indigenous peoples around the world, and helping them attain tools to represent their own people in the best possible manner, utilizing the international forum and instruments that are in place already, the UN, the ILO, and places like that. I think that is.
Do you have a representation at UN?
No, we don't. We have our own representations, or, I mean, we think of them as embassies, but since we're still part of the Danish kingdom, we cannot call them
Hmm.
embassies. So we are a Greenland representation as part of the Danish embassy, and we have Greenland representations at the EU in Brussels. We have it in Denmark. We have it in Iceland. We have in Washington. We have one in Beijing.
Hmm.
So we have it in those countries that we do the most business with.
Business with.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
If there's one thing you could change about your country, what would it be?
I think the one thing that I would like to change or hope for and be part of working towards, it's for people to be better at cooperating with one another, because if we don't stand united, um, our ability to achieve what we would like to achieve is less than when we stand divided. So I always hope for as much unification, or what do you call it, as much of a unified people as you can hope for. And I think we're not there yet. We should be doing better.
Hmm. What What is the best time to visit Greenland?
Well, I mean, anytime, but in terms of weather, I would say from beginning of April till the end of October.
April to October. All right. What are the festivals that somebody could visit to celebrate? Something very unique to Greenland.
Well, I mean, you're sure to have a very festive country if you come around our national day around the 21st of June. There, anywhere you are in Greenland, there will be many activities going on, and it's very fun to be part of that. But then, I mean, we have many other celebrations like music festivals, different places at different times throughout the year. We have sports events like the Arctic Circle race, which is 165 kilometers of cross country skiing over 3 days, and we have an Arctic midnight marathon, or things like that. You'll find throughout mostly the summertime, if it's sports, and the Arctic Circle race is during spring.
Wow, I didn't know that. That is something I didn't know. A marathon on skiing,
Yes,
125 kilometers.
yes,
Wow,
it's
crazy.
ultra marathon, I think they call it.
I wanted to show the traditional dress in the country, so I'm going to pull up. What do you call these dresses? Here we go.
Well, that is the woman's national dress or costume, and it's an individual thing. You will see that the colors of the different fabrics will change, and some of them have meaning. Like for older women, they will be darker in color, like you see there, and for younger women and girls, they will be lighter in the color, the red color that you see as part of the fabric.
Why so?
And of course, putting together this national costume is a very long process, because you need different animal skins that has to be pieced together, and what you see as sort of a west, that is pearls or beads, uh, and you can imagine how many thousands of beads that goes to one.
These are beads.
Yes, those are beads. uh,
Wow,
uh,
so many. I
yeah,
mean,
and every single one is a unique piece of art, of course, and some families have their own patterns, and others like different colors. Like you can see those, some like yellow, blue, and others are more into red and white and brighter colors. But it's very unique, and it's a very special national costume for the women. For the men, it's very simple. It's a white anorak and black pants, and then we have the sealskin boots called kamiks.
1 second. What do you? Uh,
Traditional clothing, men. Yes, you can see on the picture with the boy and the girl. Maybe that's a bit more traditional, but the second picture from the left on top,
hmm.
that would be a typical male national costume: the white anorak, black pants, and then sealskin boots.
Ah, so it's so black and white for the men and so colorful for the women.
Yes, all women are special.
Very interesting.
And that's a crown prince of Denmark and his mother and the crown
Oh,
princess. Yeah.
is this a wedding dress of Greenland, or this
No,
is?
that's the Sami people of northern Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and parts of Russia. That's their
Ah,
national costumes.
I was just wondering. So many beads and pearls. Where do you get from? I mean, is this a native thing? Where do you find these, or how
Well,
do you make colors? Because everything is so green and white in Greenland. So I was just wondering where you get the dye.
I think actually the first beads that that the Greenlanders started to use, they had their own beads, but not so colorful. But then came the European whalers during the 15th and 16th century, and they, of course, brought trading goods with them. And they could get
Hmm.
a lot of ivory from walrus and narwhal in exchange for beads, colorful beads like that. So I think the tradition of having these very colorful beads strung together is something that comes with European influence and trading starting back in the 15th century.
I love the colors. I really love the colors.
Yes.
In India, also there are many places where we use a lot of colors.
Yeah.
And I usually make it a point to grab traditional clothing whenever I visit. So I might pick this up for a sister or cousin when I visit.
Yeah.
Um,
You should
Beautiful.
be aware it's very expensive, though. I mean, if you want an entire suit for one person, you're looking anywhere from, I don't know, 8 to 12,000 US dollars.
Wow.
So
Okay. So let's save up for that. What is what is one wedding ritual that is very Greenlandish?
well, it's probably very Greenlandish or Greenlandic, as we would say, that after the wedding at the church, then you have a we call it a gefimik, and gefimik means we serve you coffee. But these cafe mix have developed into a sheer feast. So when you come for a wedding cafe mix after the wedding has been conducted at the church, then you are invited inside, and there's not only coffee and cakes, there's also all sorts of meats and traditional Greenlandic food, which has been prepared in the best possible way. And you will also have whale skin, raw whale skin, matek, we call it, which is a delicacy in Greenland. Um, so you will typically you'll invite the whole community where you live. Of course, in the larger cities, you invite your friends and your extended families. Yes, but in the villages, you invite the whole village to come and participate.
Very interesting. So, is Christianity the major religion or the only religion?
Yes, I think you can say that. I mean, I think uh, more than 90% of Greenlanders are Lutheran Protestants, and the rest are different sorts of Christianity that are practiced. And then we have very few people, mostly people who come from different places in Asia who have a different kind of religion. So
Hmm.
Greenland is virtually more or less all of it is a Christian country.
It's very interesting to hear the term Lutheran Protestant. I mean, even in Christianity, there are so many sects and subsects. You got to look that up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now let's do this. Can you close your eyes for a moment?
Mm-hmm.
Think of your favorite memory.
My what?
Favorite memory?
Yes.
Memory. And now express it to us in your local language.
Eqqaamasan nuannernerpaq tuunami tassaawaq ataatangorneq meeqqama inunngorneri taakkulu perujartorfiginerisa peqataaffigineri soornam taakkua pingaarnerpaapput taakkuuppullu aamma nuannerinerpaasakka.
Could you please explain that to us? It was very nice to hear the language.
Yes,
What do you call that language?
that's Greenlandic Inuktitut or Inuit. It's the Inuit language, the dialect that the people of Greenland speak.
Okay. So, what did you please translate in English for us?
I said my favorite memory is, of course, when my children were born. And my favorite memories will always be being part of bringing up my children or
Mm.
our children.
Talking about children and family, you said your wife is very intelligent, like you have this in your bio, and that you get inspired from her every single day.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's why she's the foreign minister of Greenland right now.
Oh wow.
So when I stopped in politics, she kind of took over.
What is her name?
Well, that means that we are very politically minded family, and one of us have for the past 25 years, one of us have always had an elected position.
How does that impact the kids?
Well, I think it may change, but as of now, none of them plan to become politicians. So they know how much effort and how hard a life it can be, and that's I think something that more people probably could benefit from understanding, that being a politician is not especially easy. It's hard work, and sometimes it's very rough work when things don't go as planned. And in small societies, I mean, when you decide to become a member of a certain political party, that tends to stick with you. And sometimes, if you decide that you are not or do not want to be a politician anymore, it will still tend to affect your career possibilities. That's how small societies function.
hmm Before the next question, what is the name of the foreign minister?
Vivian Motzfeldt.
Okay. In the Inuit language, can you tell how do you appreciate a beautiful thing, or like we say bravo, or when you're appreciating some art or music, how do you say that in Inuit language?
Well, if it's something beautiful and it's a thing, then we will say kusanak or adienak. If it's a person, then we will say binnersok, inequnak, things like that.
Mm. While listening to you, the language is a bit tough to pronounce. I mean, it would take some practice. Uh,
Yeah,
the
we
yeah.
are we are one of the only languages that you cannot translate on Google.
Wow. So that's a new challenge for Google.
That's our superpower. It's our language. It's very hard to learn.
Wow. What a Okay, now this is to the signature round.
Yeah,
Name three people, living or dead, that you would like to have lunch with.
living or dead. Well, I mean, of course, I think we all would like to dine with Mahatma Gandhi, and then I think President Obama has been a very inspirational figure for all of us. And then I would also like to meet the Chinese president.
If you could ask one question to them, what would that be?
How are you going to tackle the green transition and global warming?
I mean, individual, it can be a different question for different people. So,
Well,
whom
at
would you
least
ask this
Chinese
question?
for the Chinese president, that would be the question: how are you going to actively be involved and be a positive change globally in terms of fighting global warming and climate change? For Obama, it would probably be how do you make the largest impact possible on most people using technology and the natural resources in terms of green transition. And for Mahatma Gandhi, how do you make the best possible way to make Greenland an independent country based on his amazing life and experience?
Wow, beautiful. In fact, I'm reading one of his books written on him, his biography,
Yeah,
Gandhi Before India. So he has an autobiography, but this book is Gandhi Before India.
yeah,
I would, by Ramchandra Guha, I would recommend to you. I'll send you a link after this. So he did. I mean, how his mind prepared through London, through South Africa, and to fight or be a leader in uh, discriminatory society. So it's a very interesting book.
yes. And
Next.
I think this thing. If I had a fourth person, I would have said Nelson Mandela, because the whole concept of having experienced what he went through, and then be able to make this whole reconciliation process, I think that in itself is absolutely amazing, that you can reach a stage as a human being, being able to find a way to forgive and move on in the way that he did.
Absolutely. 25 years in prison. And one of the two upcoming episodes is going to be about South Africa. So
Okay,
stay tuned for that, guys.
right. Yeah.
Your next question for you:
Yeah.
how to make money?
Well, I mean, money can be made in many different ways. I think the last 40 years, Greenland has been very successful in developing technology and methods, and in a sustainable manner, being able to utilize our seafood resources. I hope that we will be able to make at least the same kind of money by doing hydropower and energy intensive industrial projects, making green products like green aluminium, green iron pellets, green nickel, green whatever, based on a sensible and wise use of the natural resources of Greenland. Uh, that's how I think that money should be made. And like a small country and a small population like Greenland's should always be protective of itself in terms of how business is conducted within and for Greenland. So my hope is that we will be able to make money in partnership with others without fooling ourselves.
Hmm. You're the first guest who gave the answer for this from a nation perspective and not from a person perspective. So that's very cool.
Okay, well, that's good. Of course, I hope to make money on selling my water and doing my hydropower projects.
All right. What does art mean to you?
I think art is a way of expressing a nation's identity through images, or at least part of it. And although I'm not an artist myself, I certainly enjoy different forms of art. Some, especially the abstract art, is something that is a little difficult for me to understand and appreciate fully. But I think I think art is when you strive for something beautiful. And whenever you see beauty, I read somewhere on the internet, whenever you see beauty, that is part of God's signature. So striving to have beautiful moments, seeing beautiful things, experience beautiful things is good for anyone, and that's why art is so important.
What does art do for a nation?
Well, I think it does different things depending on what stage a nation is in. What
To
is it?
rephrase it in other word, what value does art add to a nation?
I think it adds a lot of value, but I think we are many nations who fail to recognize the importance of the value of art, and we are definitely too many people who are not clever enough yet to know how art can be transformed into something monetary valuable, especially when you come from a small population with a few artists, but very skilled artists. How and why is it so difficult for us to create a system that ensures that this is what they do for a living full time? That should be possible with so many people in the world and so few of us doing such a unique thing.
Beautiful. What is your favorite advice? What is the life changing advice you have ever received?
Well, I have used a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt many times that the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. I think that is a very, very strong and inspirational thing. But the best advice I have received, well, it's probably that always be true to yourself. Do what you believe is right. Stay true to yourself, your people, and your country. Then you can't go wrong.
Beautiful. What is the most priceless gift you have ever received?
Well, it's I don't know if it's a gift received, but it's my language, because my mother is Danish. My father went to take an education within the maritime on the maritime school in Esbjerg in Denmark, and he met my mother. So my mother tongue is Danish, and when we moved to Greenland, I could only speak Danish. And of course, you can never be fully part of any culture or country unless you speak the language. But as you heard, Greenlandic is very different from almost all languages in the world. That's why it's not even translatable on Google. Uh, but the gift I received when we moved to the village where my father was born and grew up, it was the gift of the language. Being able to fully understand who I was and what I was part of, and what the people of the country that I grew up in, what their aspirations and dreams and fears are. So it is the greatest language or gift I have received. It's priceless to
Beautiful.
be able to speak Greenlandic.
One segue question. Your father went to Denmark. How did your mother agree to come to a Greenland village and then of course adapt the language and culture?
I don't know, but I assume that they had a plan of only trying this out for half a year or a year or two, and they ended up, or she ended up, never coming back to Denmark. So she's still living in Greenland.
Wow.
Yeah.
Half a year plan became a lifelong
Yes.
lifelong plan. Interesting. What do you want to be remembered for?
Making a positive change for my family, for my country, for my people.
If today was the last day you lived, what would you do?
Spend the whole day with my family.
What is one thing you cannot live without?
The pristine air and the pristine nature of Greenland, the absolutely amazing water, the seafood products, the land mammals that we eat, and the sea mammals that we eat. Everything about Greenland is something that I wouldn't want to live without.
Another question related to food. Where do you get the nutrients from? Because I've seen photos of Greenland and it's just grass or scrubs, not an actual tree. So does the sea life provide all the essential nutritions you need?
Yes, it actually used to. Of course, now we import a lot of fruits and stuff, but in the past, I mean, I I spoke of whale skin that we eat. There's actually C vitamins in whale skin. And I spoke about collecting berries in the summer to keep for the winter. That is also part of how how the Inuit got their diversified nutrients that they
Mm-hmm.
needed to be able to survive. But of course, it's something that you have to be very very aware of, especially in the older days. But nowadays, we're able to go down to the shop and buy an apple or whatever.
Because there's this thing about scurvy, right? When these people used to travel with ships and they just had to eat fish, they didn't have vitamin C and they got scurvy because of that. So how do you get your bitter things like the traditional people? How did you get your vitamin C from?
Whale skin and
Oh, it
berry.
has all that.
Whale skin has C vitamins, and berries, of course, have C vitamins. So that was how they, from
Hmm.
whatever berries that they could collect during summertime, and then extended through the winter, and then added on with the nutrients from whale skin. That's how they did it
Hmm.
then.
What's on your bucket list next?
Well, to experience as many different cultures and countries together with my family as possible.
Of course, now your wife is a foreign minister, so now you can travel anywhere, everywhere.
Well, I mean, that's the problem. We need to plan everything according to her schedule, of course. So that makes it a little more challenging. But of course, it's also a matter of resources. I mean, uh, we cannot just travel year round. We can't afford that.
Or the other way is invite all the cultural people to your country and
Yes.
experience the culture that way.
Yeah, definitely.
What gets you excited about the future?
It gets me excited to see and to know that this thing that we have been talking about in politically in Greenland for the past 40 years, that Greenland should become economically self-sustained. That is that is not just a dream. That is something that is that we are able to do, and that we will be able to do it within a very short period of years. But it requires the nation to be able to cooperate, and the willingness and the skills to attract the right cooperation partners in order to achieve what we would like to do. And that's not easy to do. I mean, it sounds easy and it's easy to say, but it's actually quite difficult to do.
What is something you regret?
Well, I got into politics at a very young age. I was a cabinet minister when I had just turned 27. And I regret maybe not taking more time to consider all aspects of my life at the time. Instead of being in a rush to make maybe politics a bit too prioritized in my life. I regret that I didn't have the skills to do it better than I did.
What do you like to do for fun?
Play soccer.
What is your favorite movie?
Well, there are many, but one of them is when I was younger. Of course, it was Top Gun. That's when we all wanted to be fighter pilots like Tom Cruise. But I mean, after that, one of my favorite movies is Life is Beautiful.
It is indeed.
Yes.
And that movie is amazing.
Yeah.
What is your favorite book?
My favorite book would probably be well, it's I enjoy the books of Mario Puzo because I think the way he wrote Godfather and the way people behave there, you can see behaviors like that on many different levels within society. So I think that his books are not just a crime story. It's also about human behavior in general. That I think, I mean, many people could learn from. But in more academic sense, I think a book like Team of Rivals, the description of how Abraham Lincoln made a team of rivals that he actually made achieve great things. So you can be rivals, but if you are led, or if you have a leader who does it in the right way, it doesn't need to be something bad. It can actually be turned into something very productive and good.
I couldn't agree more. What is your favorite food?
Well, it's caribou meat, reindeer meat, as I said, and then it's probably strawberries.
Oh, I love strawberries. They used to grow where I went to boarding school to study.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on cryptocurrency and NFTs?
Well, I mean, I like the concept of not being tied down to banking systems that are rigid, and I like the way that it empowers more people. I think I know too little about NFTs and crypto to be willing to base my own entire economy on it. But I think it's something that is going to stay. So this crypto trend is not something that is going to disappear. The blockchain procedures and things like that, I think we will see in many other places as well. And if you combine it with artificial intelligence, I'm not sure where we are going to end up, but they're there to stay.
It just occurred to me, Iceland has many mining, blockchain mining units because it's cold. And as Greenland is naturally cold, you could use that. It takes a lot of heat. I mean, it gets very hot, but you also need a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So, crypto mining could be another industry for somebody listening in Greenland.
Yes, and data centers, they also use cooling for
Yeah.
their computers. So I mean, Greenland is a great location for many opportunities, and the more green you can do it in terms of your energy use, the more you should be doing it. And that's why I think, I mean, energy intensive industries based on clean energy in Greenland, that is definitely part of the future. And that is going to make the vital change from being a partly economic dependent country to becoming a fully economically sustainable unit in itself.
If you had the power to go either in the past or in the future, where would you go and why?
I haven't considered that, but I would definitely want to be in the future. I would like to see how humanity solve its current climate crisis. Because I mean, everybody is talking about the highest average global temperatures at the moment. Well, things are not going to get any better unless we make a concerted effort. I would like to see where that concerted effort takes us, and when it becomes a high priority for all nations. Like we saw how the COVID crisis affected the global situation. I mean, it only proves that it is possible to do this if we want. But unless we make it a priority, it's not going to happen. That is one. And in the past, I don't know. I think I would probably like to have been there when the inauguration of the United Nations was established, because I think it's a beautiful institution, and I think it's an institution that we should all strive to make even better than it is today.
Thank you so much for being a part of this show. We got to look great insights and great facts about Greenland.
All right.
What are your parting words for the audience?
Well, my parting words would probably be, well, I wish you all the best from the bottom of my heart. Don't ever forget who you are. Take care of your own identity. Try to make positive changes throughout your life, and never forget to have your own family as the highest priority, because they might not be there forever. Unfortunately, I have lost my younger brother to cancer, and my father, he disappeared while fishing. So the importance of family and being there fully when you have the opportunity, that is something I think a lot of us could do more. So the very best to all of you, and have a good day.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Before we go,
Yeah.
How was the experience of the podcast or today's session?
Well, it was good. It was good, and it was it was a little different than I had imagined. I thought it would be much more about business, um, but it turned out to be much more about Greenland, and that is perfectly fine with me. As you probably can sense, I like talking about my own country.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
All right, and you take care.